Hello, MJ7 NLK here, and welcome back to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, then I would like to thank you for your continued support. If you're not, then please click the subscribe button and the notification bell, as it really does help the channel out. Today we are revisiting the President Randy 3 handheld CB radio. If you haven't seen my review on the Randy 3, then please click the link on the screen or check out my channel videos. There is a lot to cover in this video, so please do stick around. We will answer some questions, common questions on the Randy 3 that have arisen from my previous video, do some standard power tests, show you how to access the hidden factory services menu, take you through the settings and adjustments, disassemble the radio, show you how to modify the radio to unlock the export channels and increase power, and take you through the changes this makes in general operation, along with how to obtain 12 watts of transmit power. But there is a catch, more on this later. Before we get started, let's catch up on some CB radio news. President Electronics are releasing a new radio, the President Harrison 2. This looks like an interesting little addition to the President lineup, and is feature-packed. It has PA, talkback, Vox, A&L, noise blanker and high-cut filter, NRC, noise gate, supports CTCSS tones and DCS codes, the usual ASC, and is 12 and 24 volts. President make damn good radios, but the price will be the interesting factor here. The Barry 2 and the Harry 3 are both close in feature sets, and are priced at £100 and £159 respectively. It's not going to match the versatility and the sheer brilliance of the Walker 2, which is priced at £179, so I would expect the Harrison 2 to be coming in at around £150. However, with all of the component shortages and crazy inflation, who knows where it will land. A Chinese radio manufacturer called Wuxen, or some people pronounce it Ocean, are making a new handheld CB radio. It's got a very catchy name. It's called the KG-S72C, and it's sold out almost immediately upon release in the USA. It was very competitively priced at $119, and they are currently on back order. It looks like a very interesting handheld, and I hope it gets UK and EU approval and finds its way over here soon. From what I have seen, it has 400 channel memory slots, supports CTCSS and DCS tones and codes, has a tone scanning feature that actually works, and is made out of decent materials. I love the removable battery. President, you have to do this on the Randy 4 so we can take multiple batteries and swap them easily. It also has a backlight timeout setting, which is missing on the Randy. The negatives: it's quoted as having 2 watts on AM and 4 watts on FM. The range is average, and I am sure it will have an annoying electric voice reading back every setting. I still want one though. New handheld CB radios just don't come round very often. I will, however, give due credit to companies like Anytone and Wuxen Ocean, and Retrovis as well, who have greatly improved the quality of Chinese radios versus the likes of the cheaper and almost disposable Bofang radios. And finally, I have now taken delivery of 2 new Midland radios, the M20 and M30, to add to my collection. I also have a 220 somewhere. I need to dig that out. These radios, along with my recently acquired CRT 2000H, will be featured on the channel soon once I have completed the current President lineup. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way. I purchased these radios with my own money. No one has editorial input over this content. All views and opinions are my own, and no one is sponsoring this video. Yet. Get in contact if you're interested. I purchased this particular radio from Knights Electricom, who are a fine purveyor of CB radio equipment based in the UK. I have always had exceptional service from Doug and his team, and I highly recommend them. One last thing to get out of the way, I must point out that modifying a radio is at your own risk. I am doing this so you don't have to. You will have legal obligations in your region with regards to radio transmissions, licensing and power outputs. You should always ensure that you are not causing a nuisance, and more importantly, not causing any radio interference or distress to others. So why are we revisiting the Randy 3? Well, that is because we didn't cover modifying or expanding the radio, nor did we cover power output in the original video. And because the Randy 2 FCC has been released in the USA. Why is this significant? Well, the FCC have now legalised the use of FM on CB bands in the USA, and the Randy 2 FCC is one of the first handhelds to officially support it. It's quite confusing. In Europe, we currently have the Randy 3. And before this, the Randy 2. And before that, the original Randy CB radio. In the USA, it was the Randy FCC, which was an AM-only version of the Randy 3. And we now have the Randy 2 FCC, which is the AM-FM version of the Randy 3 for the USA. Very confusing. Let's tackle some viewer questions that have been asked since publishing the original review on the Randy 3. Do you get a power difference between the top antenna socket and the car kit antenna socket which plugs into the bottom of the radio? The answer is yes, you do in expanded mode, a big difference. I didn't notice much of a difference in the standard mode though. Does an extra long rubber duck antenna fitted to the top of the radio perform better than the standard 20cm antenna? The answer is yes. As with everything CB related, the bigger the better. Height is might. I have a 55cm extra large rubber duck antenna here, and they consistently outperform the standard antenna that comes with the radio. You can get them from Knights Electricom. Type in HHL1 in the search box and they're about £28 each. What type of fitting is the antenna on the top of the radio? The top antenna socket is a TNC female, so you need a TNC male antenna. The car kit has a standard SO239 socket for the usual PL259 connector. Is there a way to stop the backlight going off so frequently? The answer is yes. Plug it into the car charger and it stays on permanently. If using on battery, then pushing the CT, CSS and DCS button, if you're not using CT, CSS and DCS tones, will light the screen back up without having to use the up-down on the channel buttons. It would be nice to have a menu option to control the time that it stays on for. Another item for President to add to the list for the Randy 4. So let's test the standard power output before we start messing around with the radio. Before we start this, I will say one thing. I have noticed that when plugged in to the top antenna and powered by the car kit, the radio does have a drop in power. So you must, if you want higher power output, use the car kit and use the car kit antenna and not use the internal antenna. So let's do the standard power tests. So AM, low power mode, running on battery, using the top antenna, 0.83 watts. FM low power mode, 0.86 watts. Switching to AM high power mode, 2.87 watts. Switching to FM, about 3 watts. So that's the power output of the radio using the top antenna. Now let's switch over to the car kit. Using the car kit antenna socket. AM low power mode, 0.88 watts. FM low power mode, 0.91 watts. AM high power, about 3 watts. FM high power, 3.12 watts. So that's the standard power output tests. We will come back to discussing power output in more detail in the expanded power tests. You can access the hidden factory configuration menu by turning the radio off, holding the ANL and scan buttons at the same time, keeping them depressed and turning the radio on. I have produced a service sheet with the options and my radio's default factory settings, which I will show on the screen now. Pause the video and take a screenshot if you need this information for future reference. In order to change the options, you use the up-down channel selection buttons to cycle through the list of available menu options. You change settings by pushing the PTT button and it displays the current value, and then use the up-down button, channel selection up-down button, in order to change the values. Record your radio's default settings before changing anything, so you can revert back in the event of issues. Your radio was calibrated in the factory using specialized equipment, so I do not recommend messing with any of the options apart from power high, power medium and power low unless you have the equipment needed. Any changes you make are at your own risk. The reason the service menu shows power MI is because once expanded, there is a new power high mode. So in non-expanded mode, the mid-power option is used as the high power setting. When adjusting power values, lower the number increases power output, and increasing the number decreases power output. Bear this in mind when setting values. Increasing power output will have a detrimental effect on battery life. However, the radio is capped in its power ability dependent on the power source being used. More on this in the expanded power tests coming up. So in order to modify the radio, or expand the radio, you need to take it apart. It's quite simple. We need to remove the battery clip, which opens the rear door on the radio. You need to remove the battery, and then there are 5 screws that need to be undone. 2, 3, 4 and 5. So I'll do that now. Now the radio itself opens from the front, and it's the front face that comes off, and just be careful with the weather sealing. You need to keep this in place. Now you can see here on the front of the radio that there are 2 wires here, 2 loops. You simply cut those wires. So to modify the radio, we will cut them cut them both. And I would recommend that you make sure the wires are appropriately away from each other. And then it is just reassembly, ensuring that you get this weather seal back in place and it's not being trapped anywhere. So let's put it back together and then we'll continue. And there we have it. That is one modified radio ready to turn on. So now that the radio has been modified, when you turn the radio on, it will display TS on the screen. That tells you you're in export mode. You now have alpha channels. So we have 19A, denoted by the little A symbol here, and we should have the same at around channel 15. So nice to see that we have alphas. And you also have a new symbol here next to the channel, which is your band block. So there's band block A, B, C, D, E, and G. There's no F. If you press and hold the F key, you will see that a dot appears between the two channel numbers. This denotes a 5 kilohertz decrement to the frequency. Normal is TS and minus 5 kilohertz is T0. So if we turn the radio off and turn it back on again, we'll see T0 so that you'll know you're in a 5 kilohertz decrement. Push and hold again to revert. So FM band block A, channel 20 is 27.2050 megahertz in TS mode and is 27.2000 in T0 mode. The scan mode will scan in the band block only. So if you push scan, you'll see that once it gets to channel 40, it won't go to band block B. It'll go back to channel 1 in A, which is good to see. It also has the fast scanning, which you have in the standard mode. If you push and hold channel up, you'll see that it'll jump through the channels extremely quickly. So channel 20 is where we want to be. You now have some new menu options. If you go to the menu and you cycle through here, you'll see that you now have split mode. This allows you to transmit and receive on separate frequencies. And you also have band name, which allows you to rename the ABC. I think it allows for 2 characters. You can rename the symbol A to something else. So to change the band block itself from A, B, C, D, etc., you push the F key twice. And then the band block will flash, and then you can B, C, D, E, G, back to A. And push F key again to acknowledge that setting. You also have some new power settings in the factory service menu, but this setting, or this new setting, is only available when you have the car kit plugged in and the car kit is powered. So let me demonstrate that to you. If I unpower the radio and we enter the service menu as shown before, we have power MI and power low. We don't have option 5, which is power high. If we plug it in to the car kit and do the same, you'll now see it defaults to 06 power MI, but if you go down, you'll see that there's a power HI mode which is your high power when running on the car kit mode. So that's it for a quick run through of the menus in modification mode. We're now going to go and have a look at the modified power tests. When expanded and plugged into the car kit, you get 3 power modes in FM: low, medium and high, which provides up to 10 watts of power output when fully tweaked. When powered by the battery, you only get low and high modes, which is in effect the low and medium of the tri-state car kit mode. Plugging in the car kit adapter and not turning on the auxiliary power does not trick the radio into allowing the 3 states. I'll try and show you that here. So we have low, we're plugged in, we're powered. We have low, medium and high. If we unplug and we go again, we have low and we have high. There's no medium option. In AM, you only ever get low and high, regardless of how the radio is powered. So in effect, the low and medium of the tri-state car kit mode. Let's get AM out of the way first, as there is no tri-state power mode. Running on battery, top antenna, AM mode, channel 20, band block A. So we're going to test in low power mode. We get 0.73 watts. In high power mode, 2.93 watts. Now let's switch back to the car kit. And see if we get any difference. So AM low, 0.89 watts, and high, 3.05 watts. So that's the power tests in AM. As mentioned before, if you try and power the radio but use the top antenna, I'll briefly show you that now. You'll see a power drop. So in AM low power mode, we get 0.67, and in high power mode, you're getting about 2 watts. So the radio itself, when it's powering, is reducing the power output to the sort of top antenna, probably for safety reasons, so that it's not pumping out a higher wattage through the antenna, which could effectively be near your face when using the car kit adapter. So now we're going to look at FM in expanded mode, where we have not adjusted the power settings in the factory menu. So this is simply cutting the 2 wires to get expanded mode, which does give you a power increase, and testing the power output. So running on battery from the top antenna, switching to FM in low power mode, 0.88 watts. In high power mode, 3.03 watts. Plugging in the car kit and switching antennas. We'll switch to low and FM low power, 0.92 watts. Medium, 3.15 watts, and high, the new high power, about 7.2 watts. So let's just talk briefly about power draw. So low power mode draws about 0.4 amps. Medium power mode is drawing 0.9 amps, 0.9 amps. And high power mode is drawing 1.5 amps. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the service menu. We'll tweak the power settings in in medium and high, and then we'll retest and see what we get. So in mid power or mid MI on channel 6, the good thing about this is you can actually see the power output as you adjust it through your power meter. You don't need to keep jumping in and out. I'll try and show that if the cable's long enough. So the minimum setting you can have in mid is 0300. So we can drop down to 0300, so I can push the medium power setting to 3.89 watts. If I go down any further, it will jump to the highest setting. So that is the best you can do in the mid power. And then if we go to high power, the lowest setting you can get here is 0260. So we can go down a lot, and this is where we're going to get to close to 10 watts. So 0260, 11 watts it peaked there, 10.9 watts. So this radio is outputting more power than this one. This one was getting about 10.1 at best. This one just hit 11 watts. So that's in the high power setting. So turn the radio off, turn it back on, and we can see. So we're in FM UK, we're in high power mode. 12 watts there, look. Do that again. So it peaks to 12, stabilizes to about 11 and a half. So to quickly talk about power draw, now we've made those settings changes. Medium power mode was drawing 0.9 amps again. High power mode was drawing 2 amps. So no wonder they won't allow it to be powered off the internal battery. But a significant power increase, hitting 12 watts there on the Randy 3 using the car kit. So in conclusion, expanding the Randy 3 to export mode gives you A, B, C, D, E and G band blocks, covering from band block G, channel 1 in T0 mode at 25.610, including the -5 kHz decrement, to band block D, channel 40 in TS mode at 28.3050. You also retain access to the FM UK40, which is excellent to see, and navigating the additional functionality and features is well executed. Running on battery and using the internal antenna, you're getting around 3 watts at maximum. This is significantly increased when you expand the radio to around 7 watts when using the car kit and draws 1.5 amps on transmit. You can further increase and push up the power in the services menu to a maximum of 12 watts with a power draw of 2 amps. It's understandable why these power output restrictions exist, as the internal battery is only an 1800 mAh unit. I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out by liking and subscribing. This really does help and ensures that I can continue to provide content. Please feel free to buy me a coffee, details are in the description below, and if you have any questions or comments, then you know what to do in the comments below. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Nasty know-it-alls need not apply. Well, until next time, stay safe, stay happy, and catch you in the next one.